Welcome to the channel. My name is Jardine, and today we are going to talk about what happens if you invest your CPP and whether or not this works out in your favour or not over time. In a previous video I did a few months back, I discussed the factors to consider when deciding when you should take your CPP. I showed some break-even ages and suggested that basically, unless you expect to have a shortened life expectancy, then delaying CPP is something you should be very much considering. Here is the table to show this from the previous video. It wasn't necessarily a popular answer, and I know there are a lot of you sitting there right now thinking, who is this suggesting that I delay my pension? I know you've paid into the plan for many years, and I get wanting to take what is available to you as soon as it's available. I really do get that. But I just want to make sure that you're fully informed and you have all the information available to make that decision. One follow-up and very valid question I got from that previous video was, well, what happens if you take your CPP and invest it? Surely by taking it early and socking it away invested, you will ultimately end up with more over time. We're going to get into that shortly, but for anybody who didn't see the first video, let's first recap on some basics. Standard age for a CPP pension is 65, but applicants can begin their pension anytime between the ages of 60 and 70. Applying before age 65 results in a reduction of your pension. It's 0.6% per month or 7.2% per year. While the increase after age 65 is 0.7% per month or a total of 8.4% per year. In 2021, 31% of applicants began their pensions at age 60 and another 31% at age 65. The rest applied at different ages, with only 11% waiting to age 70. Interestingly enough, there was a big shift between 2019 and 2020. In 2019, only 2% delayed the start of their CPP to age 70. The percentage was similarly small in previous years. In 2020 though, it jumped to 10%. At this point, it's unclear as to why that is. There are several factors to consider if you're deciding when to take your CPP. The key one though is life expectancy. Now, obviously nobody knows how long they're going to live, but to give you some context, a 65-year-old woman has a 50% chance probability of living to age 91. And a 65-year-old man has a 50% chance probability of living to age 89. As a result, women are generally better off deferring their CPP than men. But in general, both men and women should consider it if you're in good health or have good family history. Okay, so what happens if you invest your CPP? We're going to run through a few scenarios here, but all scenarios have the same assumptions. We're assuming an after-tax 4.5% return. All scenarios assume maximum CPP and a 2% increase each year for inflation. First off, if you take your CPP at 60 and invest it every year until age 90, how much would you end up with? Well, that total amount is $759,668 based on those assumptions. So, secondly, if you take your CPP at 65 and invest it every year until age 90, how much would you end up with? Well, that total amount is $971,870. And lastly, if you take your CPP at age 70 and invest it every year until age 90, you would end up with $1,096,000. So no matter what way you look at it, this is quite the difference and highlights the point that taking it early, it's not always in your best interests. Now, I can hear you sitting there thinking, well, all that sounds great, but what if I don't live to age 90? Well, let's have a look at the break-even ages. With the same assumptions used, the break-even point for taking CPP at 65 versus 60 is age 75. But what if you delay to age 70 versus taking at age 60? The break-even point is only 9 years later at age 79. And lastly, the break-even point in delaying CPP to age 70 versus age 65 is 83. This should be giving you a little bit of food for thought in your decision making. Again, I'm not here to sway you in either direction. Ultimately, your personal situation and circumstances will dictate when you take CPP. I'm just here today to provide you with all the relevant information. I can also hear you sitting there thinking, well, investing all your CPP all your life is a little fanciful and unrealistic for most. I would agree. So what I've also done here is I've put together two scenarios that assume you invest your CPP from 60 to 65 and also from 60 to 70, then start drawing an income from the invested capital. Again, we use a 4.5% after-tax return and a 2% inflation rate with an assumed life expectancy of age 90 in this scenario. So, by taking CPP and investing it at age 60, a total of $55,818 would be accumulated at age 65. This would provide an indexed income of $2,874 to age 90. Added to the $9,820 of CPP, this results in a total income of $12,694. This compares to the $17,802 you would get by starting to take CPP at 65. Similarly, by taking CPP and investing it at age 60, a total of $131,187 would be accumulated by age 70. This would provide an indexed income of just over $8,000 to age 90. Add that to the $9,820 in CPP, results in a total income of $17,822. This compares to the $29,622 in taking CPP at age 70. It doesn't really matter what way you look at it. The main point here is that unless you're investing your CPP aggressively and expect to maintain high returns over a long period of time, a retiree who lives well into their 80s will likely be better off deferring their pension compared to starting earlier. Now, it should be noted a person eligible to start the maximum CPP at age 60 would not receive the maximum CPP if they deferred starting CPP until age 70 if they did not contribute during the 10-year deferral. CPP pensions are based on career average contributions with roughly 6 or 7 years excluded. Not contributing for 10 years would almost certainly bring down the career average below the maximum. Ultimately, taking CPP at age 60, it is an option, and I get the psychological part of taking your pension at the earliest opportunity and investing it. Who knows what tomorrow has in store, and I get that too. Life can be cruel sometimes, and depending on your other sources of income, it also may not be beneficial to delay CPP, as it may end up putting you into OAS clawback range. That is a whole other topic for another video though, which you can look forward to over the coming weeks. In summary, as the numbers I have presented show, taking your CPP early is not always the best option. However, the decision should not be based solely on numbers. I hope you found today's video helpful. Please do feel free to share this with friends and family who may be trying to figure out when they should take their CPP. And if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments section below. Also, before you go, do subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second. Thanks very much. Bye for now.